Welcome to the last module of our course, Preventing Household Chemical Contamination. In this module, we are going to learn about the correct way of handling, storing, and disposal of household chemicals in order to prevent exposure of yourself and people in your surrounding. In a house, we have so many products and items that can cause chemical contamination in both human and the environment. So it's important that you use these chemicals only if necessary and replace them with natural ingredients wherever possible. Also, pay close attention to instructions given on the label on handling, storing, and disposal of these products. To start with, let's see some products that can cause household chemical poisoning and consequences of mishandling these chemicals. Medications. The colorful pills can provoke children to taste them, especially if they see adults consume them. Medications can be deadly due to overdose and choking. They can also cause allergic reactions. Cosmetics and personal care products. These can cause skin and eye injuries, allergic reactions, and poisoning by ingestion. For children, these products can also be deadly depending on the type of chemical and the quantity ingested. They can drink hand sanitizers that may even result in respiratory arrest or death. Children can ingest Cutex removers that can result in acetone poisoning, which can cause loss of coordination, difficulty in breathing, coma, or even death. Children can also inhale baby powders made with talc that can cause lung irritation or chemical pneumonitis. So it's really important that you keep cosmetics away from children, especially those under 5 years of age. Cleaning products can cause a number of chemical accidents. Ingestion by small children, inhalation of toxic fumes, skin and eye injuries, small children drowning in buckets with chemical mixtures, and allergic reactions. Deodorizers like room and closet liquid and solid air fresheners are another household chemical that can cause inhalation of noxious fumes and skin or eye damage. They can also be ingested by children for their fragrance and appearance, and these can be allergic to some people. Foreign objects can cause choking hazards. They can get stuck in both respiratory tract or esophagus. The pictures on the left are endobronchial photographs of some foreign objects swallowed or breathed in. The picture on right shows you what happens if someone accidentally swallows a button battery and get it stuck in the esophagus. So be mindful not to keep these things within the reach of children, especially things like button batteries, because they not only cause choking hazards but also can cause exposure to chemicals. So if your children's toys come with these batteries, take extra measures to seal the battery compartment. Other products that can become hazardous in a household environment include caustic chemicals, fuels, solvents, polishes, and automotive supplies. Caustic chemicals such as drain cleaners, acids, rust removers, and oven cleaners can become hazardous by inhalation of toxic fumes, skin and eye injuries, and ingestion by children. Fuels such as charcoal, kerosene, fuel oil, diesel or petrol cans, and solvents such as thinner, turpentine, varnish, lubricant can become hazardous due to skin and eye injuries, ingestion by children, burns or caught in fire followed by explosions, inhalation of toxic fumes, and carbon monoxide poisoning. Polishes including floor polish, shoe polish, furniture polish, or wax can emit noxious fumes. These can cause skin and eye injuries in case of contact and even become allergic. Finally, automotive supplies such as antifreeze agents, windshield wiper fluids, automotive wax, polish and cleaners can be ingested by children and even cause skin and eye injuries. So now you have an idea about products and things you have around your house or the facility that can cause chemical hazards. Before we talk about handling chemicals, let's understand symptoms of chemical poisoning. When you use a chemical or after being in a place where a chemical spill has occurred, you might feel nausea, vomiting, dizziness, headaches, skin irritation, burning eyes, drowsiness, or unconsciousness. So, if you feel one of these symptoms, immediately leave the place and take first aid. Usually, you can find information on first aid in the label of the product. That's why it's important that you read the label before opening the product and start using it. If necessary, call the Poisons Information Center or the hospital in your country. Do you really need chemicals? The first thing you should decide is whether you really need the chemical or the product. Remember, there was a time we didn't have such chemicals and we still lived clean and hygienic. So buy only what's necessary. Because there are so many alternative natural things we can use as cleaners and disinfectants. Cleaning with ash, lemon, baking soda, vinegar, and disinfecting with turmeric or neem are some of them. I have added a link to one article in the further reading section, and you may find a lot of information on this if you just surf the internet. But even these mixtures, be mindful while using them, especially acidic things like borax and hydrogen peroxide, because acid is corrosive and may cause skin burns or become skin or eye irritants. So always wear gloves for your safety and follow the given instructions. Remember, you must always add acid to water, not the other way around, as that can release heat and fumes and can even splash the acid out of the container. Also, buy only the amount necessary. For example, if you want to paint a room, do not buy paint for the whole house, because over time they would solidify and will have to be disposed in vain. So plan your activity and buy chemicals in an amount that is just sufficient to fulfill your need. Especially chemicals like fertilizers, pesticides, waxes, and solvents, because they are not durable. So buying only the required quantity will reduce both the cost and the waste. The correct handling of household chemicals is the main thing to do to prevent exposure. If you have decided to buy a chemical and use it, then the first thing you should do is to read the label instructions, preferably each time before using a chemical product, especially mixing quantities and instructions to dispose the mixed chemical. In using garden products, use only the recommended dose. Remember, you must wear well-covered clothes, gloves, mask, goggles, and boots while applying these chemicals unless they are organic products. Also, at least once, go through the instructions and first aid to be given in case you spill it on your skin, eyes, or accidentally ingest it. Protecting gears. If you are applying a chemical fertilizer or a chemical pesticide, insecticide, fungicide, or a herbicide, you must wear protecting gears like the full cover bodysuit, apron, boots, face mask, goggles or the face shield, cap, and gloves to prevent exposure. Wash your hands thoroughly with soap and water after using chemicals. It's a good habit to change clothes and bathe if you used spray chemicals, because you can easily have tiny droplets fall on your face, hair, and clothes. Keep the place well ventilated while using chemicals, because using a chemical in a closed room can increase the amount of exposure as it increases the chemical concentration, affecting the indoor air quality. Using spray bottles, aerosol cans can increase the amount of the chemical in the air, leading to health problems such as asthma or breathing difficulties. So make it a habit to open doors and windows or keep exhausters running while using chemicals. Do not use chemicals around children because on one hand they get exposed to aerosols in the air or can touch or lick the surfaces with chemicals, and also they may even experiment with the chemical containers. So you should never leave a chemical unattended even while using it if you have kids around, especially cosmetics like nail paint removers. Even a bucket filled with water mixed with chemicals could be deadly to children. They can drink water with chemical, get the chemical spilled on them, or infants might even fall into the bucket and get drowned. Never mix two cleaners of different kinds, especially products containing ammonia or chlorine. This mixture can produce a gas called chloramine, which can cause severe breathing problems and can even become fatal if inhaled in significant quantities. So use either one chemical at a time or don't use at all. If you are using an insecticide, do not spray it on food or food containers like dishes, cups, plates, cutlery, kitchen towels, kitchen sink, tap, or even countertops. Because then you may unintentionally ingest these chemicals with your food through contaminated food containers and may even feed your family. Also, children playing around the kitchen may even get these chemicals on their skin. While applying air fresheners, be cautious not to spray around open flames because they are flammable. In storing chemicals, there are a few basics you should follow. 1. Choose a place out of reach of children. You should always make sure not to leave any opportunity for a child to reach household chemicals. 2. Consider all possible accidents that can happen in storage, which would lead to contamination of a person or the environment. For example, spilling, leaking, burning, exploding, etc. 3. Think about the nature of the chemical, whether it's flammable, corrosive, acidic, basic, or labeled as poison, hazardous, or danger. So the place you store the chemical or how you group chemicals should depend on that. Let's discuss some rules that follow these factors. You must always keep and store chemical groups separately. For example, store acids away from alkalis like washing soda or ammonia because mixing acid and base can produce heat and fumes. Always store chemicals away from food, potable water, animal feed, medical supplies, and gasoline. Keep all chemicals in a safely locked cupboard. Also, when you store a chemical, make sure the lid is tightly closed. It's a good habit to keep heavy items on lower shelves just in case the shelf broke by any chance, or in case of earthquakes. Having larger bottles on bottom shelves would prevent massive spills. It's a good habit to keep dry chemicals away from liquids. This will avoid mixing and reactions due to spills or leaks. Store gasoline, paint, and other flammable chemicals away from fireplaces, natural gas heaters, or furnaces. Chemicals that can cause environmental hazards such as pesticides, insecticides, ammonia, bleach, etc. should never be stored where flooding or water damage is possible or in a place where the spill could get into well, groundwater, or surface water. For example, never store these chemicals where rainwater drips or under the sink where water leaks can occur. It's advisable to store medicines in a cool, dry place. Never store chemicals in food or drink containers because one can mistakenly eat or drink the chemical. For example, if you store the coolant chemical used in vehicles in a soft drink bottle, one might actually drink that thinking it's a new soft drink. Pesticides and other garden chemicals, fertilizers, should always be stored in their original containers. If they come in temporary packaging, such as polythene bags or cardboard boxes, once opened, they should be stored in labeled containers. Now, here is the summary of best practices in storing we discussed in this lesson. For disposal, different countries have different rules for disposing hazardous chemicals. So first, read the label instructions and check with your local waste disposal system. If they recommend any procedure, follow that. But in case if there's no system, make sure you do the following. Buy only the most necessary chemicals and only the required amount. This will reduce the types of chemicals and the amount you need to dispose. Always collect chemical containers separately. If you usually manage your own waste, dispose these chemical bottles in a closed barrel or to a closed pit covered with an impermeable layer composed of polythene or another material. Do not put pesticides, fuels, solvents, flammables, and other dangerous chemicals in the garbage bin with regular waste. Do not wash them down the drain. Do not throw them to open dump sites or leave openly in your backyard. Open dumping of these chemicals not only increase the environmental contamination but also will increase the chances of human contamination, especially because when these containers lie around the backyard, children might play with them. Good examples are paint cans and pesticide cans. Because for children playing outdoors, they become toys. Even adults could use them to feed an animal or put something if they are unaware of the toxic nature of the chemical contained in it. Also, do not take pesticide chemical containers for secondary use. Do not use them as water buckets or feeding bowls for animals. And do not burn these containers, as they might produce toxic fumes. Especially burning plastic containers can produce persistent organic pollutants such as dioxin and furans. Pesticides, insecticides, fungicides, and herbicides. Today, we have at least one of these chemicals in our houses. It could be a cockroach spray we bought for our kitchen or a pesticide we bought to maintain our flower pot. Now, let's see if we really understood this scenario correctly. These are some common practices in handling agrochemicals. So, take a piece of paper and try to complete the sentences. Pause the video and do this exercise. Then play again to check your answers. So with that, we have come to the end of this course. I hope you really earned something through this course and that you will absorb these teachings to your lifestyle. And also that you will ensure the chemical safety of your loved ones and people in your surrounding. As usual, I have enclosed some further reading materials for you to go through, especially if you are interested in knowing the harmful chemicals in certain products and alternatives to chemical cleaners. Do go through those documents. Do not forget to complete the feedback form and tell us what you think of this course and what more you expect from this course. Thank you and good luck with the quiz.